I have now watched every single episode of The Simpsons that has been released. I didn't grow up watching the show, so for the past few years, I have been slowly binge watching the show. So that means I have watched over 35 seasons, 35 years of Simpsons content, 774 episodes plus a movie. Hello, my Gamma friends. So, as I said in that intro, I just finished watching The Simpsons, all of The Simpsons, and I wanted to do a video with a whole bunch of thoughts of mine post having watched it. Um, so the first thing I want to talk about is The Simpsons is a very progressive left-leaning show, and it's been that since the beginning. And it's obvious, not just in episodes now, but even back in the 90s. Truly, I don't understand how right-wing people think it's only obvious in episodes now. Um, they had gay characters from the beginning. They had an episode where Homer is homophobic, and it was treated as a bad thing that he had to get over by the end of the episode. There are moments that tease Grandpa Simpson might be trans, but that Grandpa takes medication to act more quote unquote normal. Lisa is the most left-leaning character in the family, and they always made a point to have her be the voice of reason and as the most good morally person. They quite literally made the villainous characters like Mr. Burns and Sideshow Bob be right-wing. And the Republican headquarters is literally treated as a supervillain lair. And that's not a new thing. It's always been treated as a supervillain lair in this show. Next thing I want to talk about is how I think the show is still good today and is still releasing brilliant episodes even after 30 years. I don't think the quality ever dipped. I think people have become much more critical than they used to be, and I think it's also a case of people are nostalgic for an old era of The Simpsons, and so they aren't willing to give the new eras a try. I don't have that problem because, as I mentioned in the intro, I didn't watch this as a kid. This binge is my real introduction to The Simpsons. Next thing I want to talk about is, well, there's stuff I don't love with Homer, like him strangling Bart. He honestly is a much better person, I think, than most people give him credit for. As when it matters most, he always ends up doing the right thing. Marge, though, on the other hand, Marge, I think, is a worse person than people give her credit for. She likes to act like Homer is the absolute worst every time he messes up, as if she's so much better than him, even though he clearly has some mental disabilities that are have gone undiagnosed that she doesn't show any compassion for. Also, there's an episode where she graped Homer, and the show didn't act like that was a bad thing. It just treated it like a joke, even though that's an absolutely horrid thing for that to have happened. Next thing I want to talk about is I think the show should break the status quo. Start having characters change and grow figuratively and literally, not just for one episode, like we had with the season premiere this year, but for the remainder of the show. I think there's a lot of potentials for stories if they start allowing the kids to grow up a bit, maybe even just a year or two, so Maggie can have a voice permanently. I like the gag of her still not being able to speak, even in future episodes, future themed episodes. But that gag gets a little old after a while. I think it would be good for them to just allow the characters to age up. Um, the show can't go on forever, and this is a way that they can have it so that there is a sort of finality for the next few seasons or something. I since and um, you're gonna want to have something like that so that they can actually have a good way to end the show before the time comes when some of these voice actors get too old to be able to do the show anymore. Um, Finally, the last thing I wanted to talk about, I want to mention is that the episodes I've noticed that I at least personally end up having the most fun watching are the future episodes. I always look forward to episodes where they show us the Simpsons in the future when all of the kids are grown ups and Marge and Homer are old. I think it's so interesting in seeing those episodes and so much fun to watch. All right, that's everything I have. I wrote down for thoughts post watching The Simpsons, and if you have any thoughts about the show that you want to share with me, hey, please let me know in the comments down below. Oh, that's really everything for this video. So as always, free Palestine. This again is your host, Smash Trivia John, signing off.